All right, folks. Hope everybody's doing well today. Apologize for the delay. We were just ironing out a little demo. We want to make sure that we have a good demo for you guys today. So Jeff and I were just making sure we were all set. So apologize for the delay. We're going to jump in and welcome to another edition of XenTegra's Webinar Wednesdays. My topic today is IGEL and Thin is the new OS. So again, welcome and thanks for taking an hour out of your day to join us. I am your host, Pete Downing. I am the CMTO of XenTegra. I'll explain who we are towards the end if you don't know who we are. Also on the phone, and I'll introduce, and he'll be talking in a minute, is a good friend of mine and longtime IGEL employee and technology evangelist, Jeff Kahlberg. So Jeff, we're privileged to have him today. He's been a longtime employee of IGEL. He knows IGEL inside and out and is a great resource. So thanks for joining us, Jeff, and I look forward to getting a little overview and demo. So again, this is part of my series called Webinar Wednesdays. If you're interested to see what's on on deck for new topics, you can go to go.XenTegra.com / webinar, and you can see the upcoming topics. However, I do have some cool vendors that I'm going to be highlighting in future webinars. I got Policy Pack coming up on deck. So that's going to be the second week in November. Towards the end of November, I have Tricerat. That's going to be going through printing. And then in December, I'm going to cap off the year with Kumu, which is a cool video sharing platform, which does great integration with Citrix. And then finally, a good friend of mine, Helg, who runs a company called Uber Agent. So we're gonna cover the year off with some cool topics. So again, go to go.XenTegra.com and check out / webinar and check out the upcoming webinars. And I'm constantly adding to the list. You'll see 2019 start to build out in a few weeks. All right, so today we're gonna keep this fun and entertaining as always. I'm gonna start off with some quick polls. I always like to do some polls to level set, where you guys are at and give us some topics to kind of cover throughout the webinar and make it a little fun. And then IGEL will come in and do their overview and give you a little, demo. And then finally, we'll cap off with a good Q&A session and, XenTegra overview. And again, I keep that pretty simple, so don't worry. You'll walk away with a lot of information today. So a couple housekeeping. Yes, everybody is muted. However, please ask questions throughout the webinar today. So if you notice, there is a Q&A dialogue. Please ask questions. We love the questions. It keeps it interactive. It keeps it interesting. And it also lets Jeff kind of take right and left turns where needed. He is a demo king. So, feel free to ask questions throughout the demo. And then at the end, kind of like a radio show, if you want to ask a question, feel free to raise your hand and I'll even unmute you so you can ask your question live. And you can ask it live. All right. So, again, don't hesitate to ask questions throughout the day today. And again, through the Q&A dialogue, I will be monitoring that throughout the webinar. All right. So let's talk a couple polls. Oh, first off, before I get into polls, this does qualify for the IT Baller giveaway. So if you're not familiar with IT Baller, and I'm guessing since everybody's on this webinar today, there's no billionaires on the phone, and maybe tomorrow will be millionaires, but we'll see. However, IGEL is giving away some good money, and there's 4 chances to win $20,000 throughout the end of the year. So if you go to itballer.com, use the code XenITBaller. You will be put into a drawing to get your chance to win $20,000, and there's 80 grand in total between now and the end of the year that IGEL is going to be giving away. So definitely, head over there and fill out that small survey. And for anybody who fills out that survey and replies to my email that you'll get tomorrow, that you filled out the survey and I confirm it, I'll throw some stuff in the mail to you. A little UD pocket, maybe a t-shirt and a few stickers. I got a couple going out to a few attendees on the call today. And I'll get those out this week because I have a new stock of UD pockets and I got plenty of t-shirts to give away. So if you fill that out, forward me the confirmation, I will send you some cool swag. All right, so let's have some fun with some polls. Polls are fun because they let me know if you're paying attention. So the first poll is a fun one. And I couldn't fit all the versions of Windows 10, so I had to get a little creative here. So what version of Windows 10 are you currently running? So I'm going to launch this poll and let you guys take about a couple seconds to take an answer. And again, if you don't know, hey, don't be afraid to say I don't know, because that's the point of this question. But I'm curious to see how many people are actually running 1809. And we'll give it about 20 seconds. I'd like to get at least 80% of the folks, to participate. And again, don't hesitate to participate. This is anonymous. Don't worry. All right, ready, set, couple more seconds, and we're gonna close the poll and share it. So a good spread here. And um, the reason why I like to ask this question is because Jeff is going to do a great overview on why IGEL and Windows 10 and some of the headaches you hit with Windows 10. I also did a nice little blog on Windows 10, and for those who have tried the upgrade, kind of hit some of the hurdles. I personally hit one of the hurdles. So we know the pain that is Windows 10, especially if you're an enterprise. And there was a question around the ISO. It all depends on your ELA agreement with Microsoft. It is available. And if you I can follow up and get you an answer on how to get the ISO. All right, so here's another question. I'm currently running thin devices in my enterprise, and I put a few of the brands, and then if you have other brands, just put other or a mix of vendors. I'm actually interested to see if anybody is mixing, because you know what, mixing's good, and we can solve that. All right, we'll give about 20 seconds or so. Again, I feel like a game show host. Let's try to get 80% here. We're at 77. Couple more. Come on, folks. Couple more answers. Ready, set, and we're going to share this. So a good spread here. We got some IGEL customers on the phone, so welcome. Thank you for attending. We got some Dell. I'm gonna sway you over to the good side. And we got some that are very interested. So I'm gonna make you interested. We can promise you that. So thank you for attending today. All right, so let's do the final survey question. And again, we all know that our users, we can't trust them. And, at the end of the day, security at the endpoint is a big issue. So yes or no, do you agree? And if you think you have it locked down, hey, say it. But maybe we'll change your mind today. And we're going to share this. And again, everybody says yes. Of course, a leading question, I know. But hey, I'm tired. I was up till about 12:30 watching the Red Sox, so don't hold it against me. All right, so let's jump ahead. And how many people have been here before? I borrowed this from Jeff, and he may show this again. But Windows. Yeah, we know the pros and cons of Windows, and I've been in IT for a long time, and at the end of the day, nothing stinks more than when you go to reboot and you got to wait for this screen, right? So Windows 7. At the end of the day, you is it going to be end of life soon, and you're going to be forced to do an upgrade at some point. However, we all know the pain point of Windows 10, so how many, and Jeff's going to cover some of these stats as we go through the webinar today. But again, Windows 10, yeah, they're trying to be like Mac OS and do the updates, but it's actually causing more headache than it is good in some regards. And, unfortunately, every time you get an upgrade, it's like installing a new OS, and you don't know what you're going to get. And if anything, 1809 kind of proved that in the last run with audio issues and other core issues that affected your end users. So with that, I'm going to pass it over to my friend Jeff Kahlberg, who, again, is a longtime employee of IGEL. He'll tell you how long if he wants, but he's been around the IGEL products for a lot longer than me. And it's a privilege and an honor to have Jeff on the phone today. So, Jeff, I'm going to pass it over to you so you can do your thing. And make sure you unmute yourself. All right, Jeff, you're still muted, buddy. Hey, Jeff, you're still muted. Uh-oh. So Jeff, we can see your screen, but we can't hear you. So. And this is the fun of, there we go, just coming back on. So Jeff, we still can't hear you, buddy. It's weird. It was just working.
Pete.
Oh, now we can hear you. There you go.
I don't know what happened. I do apologize. The screen said I was unmuted, and but I wasn't, obviously.
All right,
and
so
now we got to go back.
We see a black screen. We saw your deck earlier.
So. Yeah, we did. Now it's gone. This is great. So
it's all right.
Interesting, to say the least. This is always good stuff.
Hey, it shows that it's real, right?
And yeah.
All right. So
can you see my desktop at this point?
Yeah, we can see your desktop. So
good. All right, we'll go ahead and see if we can play this presentation.
Is this a VM and Linux, or is this an actual Windows machine? Because I know you love Linux.
No, this is a Windows 10 machine running in a virtual machine on top of Linux.
Ah, okay.
So we're going to go ahead and not try to play this thing directly. All right. Can we see that? You can see it okay now, Pete?
Yes, sir. All right.
Perfect. And I'll assume everyone else can see this as well.
Yep.
All right. So my name's Jeff Tallberg. As Pete said, I've been with IGEL for probably worked with IGEL longer than anyone else in North America. Started working with the product back in 2001. I've been part of the evolution of the product and some of the things that we do. So I do know quite a bit about it. I've been working with Thin clients since my days with the System 34, so back in the late 70s, and then the System 38. And so I've been around for quite a bit here. Citrix goes back to the WinView days when we were running it on OS2. But anyway, I'm here to talk to you about IGEL and what IGEL is, and more than ever, it's about software. So for those of you who may not know IGEL, I'd like to kind of begin this exercise with a little story about a little bit of fun facts about IGEL and who we are. We've been around for quite a while. The company started, well, first off, we're a leader in the thin client space. We're the number 3 thin client company in the world. We're the number 1 software thin client. Okay, when I say software thin client, basically we're talking about software that people would install on the machine to turn that device into a thin client, not run a thin client application, but actually convert a device or turn a device into a thin client. We're IGEL. Some of the fun facts about IGEL: we were the first company in the world to produce a terminal device running a Linux kernel, which we did back in 1993. So if you're familiar with Linus Torvalds, who I'm sure everyone on this call is, realize he introduced his project to the world in September of 1991. So when we look at that, we think about the fact that here we were 18 months later producing a terminal device based on the work that he started. So we're the first one to introduce a converted PC to a thin client, okay, and which we did in 1998. We introduced a product to do that. We're the first company to introduce a true policy-based management of edge devices, which we did in 2003, and we were the first company to produce and generate and still today support a secure boot Linux-based terminal device software operating system that we would do to turn the device into a thin client. Okay. As a company, IGEL started in 1989, the same year as Citrix, interestingly enough. Our parent company, C. Melchers, was founded in 1806. So, as I said, we've been around for quite a while, if you count those years. But as I said, most notably, okay, we are, and why isn't the slide advancing? Okay, a software company, and that is the true story about IGEL. So IGEL is being very disruptive in the industry. Okay, some of the competitors that are out there, as we mentioned before, Dell Weiss, HP and stuff, they are actually introducing a software-only solution to compete with what IGEL has done. Unlike the competitors, IGEL is quite different in the sense that the operating system we're producing is the same operating system we actually put on our devices as well. So that's quite a disrupting thing because we're allowing people to convert and use existing assets for a long time. But we're here to talk about this thing, okay? And we won't run a poll on this because everybody here is going to say, oh, yeah, well, that's the elephant in the room. And what is the elephant in the room? The elephant in the room is Windows on the desktop. And what do we do about it? I mean, this world is changing. It's changing dramatically. First and foremost, we all know about this. The support for Windows 7 is coming to an end. We have a little more than a year left before it's over. So we really need to start thinking about what it is that we're going to do. As of June, or a few months ago, not even 50% of the desktops out there were running Windows 10. Now, this is taking into consideration all devices around the world, but it is amazing to consider that there's only 50% of the devices out there are actually running Windows 10 midsummer. Okay, still a lot of Windows 7 out there. Strangely enough, there's still some Windows XP and some WinVista out there that people are using, at least according to the data that's available. Okay, who remembers this statement when Windows 10 was introduced? Jerry Nixon, who was a developer evangelist for Microsoft, okay, at Ignite 2015 said, hey, right now we're releasing Windows 10. And Windows 10 is the last version of Windows that we're all working on it. This is the last version we're going to see. So the Windows 10 is the last version of Windows. We're all still working on Windows 10. Okay. My translation of this, we are moving to Windows as a service model, and we're going to release more versions of Windows more often than ever before. Turn your life upside down and add a level of operating expense we've never seen before. Now, this is, I think a lot of people might agree with this is what's happened. We are seeing Microsoft move forward, okay, and push people to the cloud, starting with Office 365. There have been 7 versions of Windows 10 to date, okay? Most recently, we had 1809 come out, all right? End of service date has not been announced yet. At least I've not been able to find it. The point being is since we introduced Windows 10 just a few short years ago, every 6 months, Microsoft has issued a new release, okay? Initially, this is quite exciting, but what does it mean to us from a management standpoint? It's been incredible. Okay, there have been over 150 builds of Windows 10, okay, that Microsoft has produced. Each and every one of these builds is essentially a new install of the operating system over top of what's existing. This is a nightmare, okay, for our users, for the people that need to work with the desktops that we have, that we give them, if we were giving them a Windows 10 device. As soon as they want to sit down and do work, and they want to do a presentation like we're doing here today, next thing you know, the system starts to update or there's an install. And it isn't a service pack we're deploying anymore. It's a major overhaul of the operating system, and it can take, well, in some cases, a couple of hours to install. It's a nightmare. Some of us bought into the long-term servicing branch. I know we did at IGEL. This is proving to be quite interesting because the idea behind the long-term servicing branch is that enterprises like stability. They don't like a lot of change. So if you bought into the long-term servicing branch, you're good. All you get is security updates, for the period of time. The next version of the LTSB to come out is scheduled for late summer of 2019. So we're still almost a year away before we see this next version. The funny thing about the fine print related to this is there's no assurance that what Microsoft produces in 18 months from now, or sort of a little over a year from now, that it's going to run on the hardware that I have. They're only going to validate the current hardware that's in the industry, the current silicon that's in the industry, the chips and the processors and things like that. They're in the industry at the time it's released. This is where when Pete made the comment about Microsoft becoming Apple-like, Apple was kept tight control over their hardware and of their operating system and when things are released. And often when a device is released, okay, a new operating system is released, it's released with new hardware in mind. Apple has always done limited kind of backporting and support for older hardware. And Microsoft is going to take the same stance with the LTSB in particular. We really don't care if it runs on hardware 3 or 4 years old. We're going to look forward, and this is being done because this is what's good for Microsoft. We love their products, we work with them every day, and they do some fascinating things. But at the same time, maintaining Windows and making sure it runs on old equipment is not a a way to move forward and be profitable. Moving to the cloud is, which may be why Microsoft announced earlier this year that they were going to tear up the Windows business, and the Windows desktop business as a group, okay, is now split. Okay, half of those people have gone to Azure, the other half of the people have gone to Office 365, and they're now focusing on making these products available as a subscription in the cloud. So Microsoft is completely reorganized for the future, and we can't blame them because that's where all of the new value and the new margins are going to be made. So we've all been here. We just saw this slide. Very frustrating when they have to go and update and maintain. We've also have seen slides like this all over the place. Very frustrating every time Windows does an update and we have problems on the edge. So Windows on the desktop, Windows 10, why do we care and what are we going to do about it? Well, the fact of the matter is a great deal of our workload, okay, still depends on Windows, and it's going to be a long time before we don't have that dependency, where applications that we want to run just run on whatever platform I have in front of me, which is really where we're going. This is the new millennials. This is the way people want to work. So what does IGEL say to do about this? Well, here's what we say. Move your Windows to the cloud, okay? Whether it's your own private cloud in your own data center, or whether it's putting it on Azure or on AWS or wherever you go with it, let's move the Windows workload to the cloud, okay? Let's not waste our money, okay, and use Windows devices on the edge to access Windows that's running in the cloud. Because by doing that, okay, if we're responsible for both sides, we're doubling our workload, okay? So there's certainly a lot of efficiencies when we put Windows in the cloud and we maintain and manage it there, but if we also have to do that on the edge, what have we gained? We gain data security if we make people connect from the edge, but at the same time, there's Windows on the edge. It has to be maintained and sustained and taken care of at the operating system level, okay, which means a lot of patching and protecting of that device, okay? And of course, we would say to you, as IGEL work with running organizations, adopt IGEL technology. So as you think about your virtualization and your approach and moving to the cloud, okay, and we all have these conversations. We talk about our disk, we talk about our network, we talk about the servers, we talk about applications, how these applications are going to be delivered, how we're going to make them available. You know, but we at IGEL say, okay, what is the strategy? What is the conversation around the endpoint, or is that just something that's kind of forgotten? Are we saying, hey, let's do a BYOD and whatever they bring we'll support? Or are we saying, hey, let's have a strategy for these and how people are going to use these devices and how we're going to manage these devices? All those operating systems that are out there today, okay, wasted time, paying money for extra licensing to manage everything that's out there, lost productivity. When you get on the phone, when your help desk gets on the phone to support somebody, you know, what version, what build of Windows are you running? Have you been patched? Are you up to date? What version of the Citrix receiver? What version of the Horizon client? What version of browser? I mean, the number of questions is endless. And all of these endpoints create chaos in the endpoint. And when a user can't work, okay, they're not productive. When they can't work, okay, they're unhappy, okay? And of course, when they're unhappy, well, it all comes down on all of us. So IGEL, okay, what we did is we said, hey, listen, we have an operating system we developed years ago, okay? Starting in 2003, we started to build management, and we started to look at the operating system as something we would manage, okay? We didn't build an operating system and say, hey, let's manage it. That's how we started. In the end, we said, hey, let's build management, and let's enhance the operating system as a managed operating system. And the result is we've got this operating system that you can deploy on a whole bunch of different devices. You can bring all that control and management into the data center or and into the control of the IT professionals, okay, and take care of things. In the end, we end up with a solution that's simple to manage, and we'll share that with you in a minute. It's smart because what's happened is, again, users a better experience in the investment side of things. The amount of money that can be saved through good endpoint management is incredible. And then from a security standpoint, the amount of control that you get over these devices, and security begins with management. Okay, so this is key. So how do you benefit and take advantage of IGEL? Well, it begins with the IGEL operating system. We'll share that with you in a minute. Okay, the Universal Desktop Converter is a product that we have. Okay, it's simply what we call the IGEL operating system. If you want to license the IGEL operating system and install it on assets that you have or you own, okay, or if you wanted to let's say to an end user who wants to go work at home, here's the IGEL operating system that you can run at home. Okay, we have what we call Universal Desktop, which is our physical thin clients. Okay, it comes with the IGEL operating system, and then we have this product called the UD Pocket. Some of you that work with IGEL, or if you talk with Pete for a while, I'm sure he's shown you his, but the UD Pocket is a USB stick, a live USB stick about the size of a thumbnail. Okay, it runs the IGEL operating system. So if you had work at home users, you can give them a Pocket and say, hey, listen, if you want to work from home, okay, go ahead and boot your home PC or your Mac or your MacBook or whatever x86 device you might have, boot this, okay, they'll have a fully managed device that they can use to perform work in the contractors, whatever. And then, of course, there's the IGEL management. To take advantage of IGEL, we have our endpoint management piece, okay, that I'll share with you, so I won't spend a lot of time on that. And talk about it here, and then the IGEL Cloud Gateway, which extends the management that I'll share with you in a minute to any device that you own. If it's connected to the internet, you have full control of that device. In the end, the combination of the IGEL operating system, the IGEL management, okay, brings all your endpoints under control, and life is wonderful and good. So, Pete mentioned something about security, so I like to talk a little bit about how IGEL is approaching security and what we've done in 2018. Obviously, 2017, we all remembered it was a banner year. There was a few things that happened that created angst amongst all of us. This year's been relatively quiet, I suppose, outside of Facebook. But I would say going ahead, something's going to happen again, okay? And the question is, how do you deal with it? And when it happens, okay, management is key. How quickly can you respond to the exploits that are out there, okay, and the vulnerabilities that are announced, and how you get a control? Management is key, and this is what IGEL does very, very well. Through central management, you assure yourself of compliance. So if you have to deal with PCI or HIPAA or any of those, anything, an SEC, anything, okay, you got to, in order to be compliant, you have to be able to manage these devices. You need to be able to respond quickly and patch and update accordingly, okay? We need to be able to go in and monitor the environment, okay? And what we do at IGEL, what we're driving to do is provide abilities for people to understand how devices have changed, okay? And report on the security posture of the endpoint devices, okay? We have partner programs. One of the things that's critically important is that Citrix is working with IGEL, and IGEL is working with VMware, and VMware, we're all in this together in Microsoft, okay? We can't have one vendor say, well, it's Microsoft's fault or it's Citrix's fault. We need to be working together. So visible partnerships is key, and IGEL is a leader in that space in terms of who we work with and what our relationships are with these various partners. Okay. We also have a program of qualifying hardware and proactively integrating drivers and such, so that when we introduce something and include it in our operating system, okay, that behind the scenes we have relationships with all of the players in the industry, whether it's NVIDIA or AMD or Cisco, okay, so the software pieces that we include are supported. So we have a relationship with them where we can go if something's wrong and we can work on a problem together. Contextual security. Hey, listen, this is the idea. An IGEL device or a user is somewhere where they shouldn't be, and as a result, the system stops to respond, okay, or it doesn't work because, hey, it's out of band, okay? And then working with proven security. This is the idea. This is a big step for IGEL, because what we're doing at IGEL is taking our software and submitting it to third-party penetration testing. We're going to recognize organizations that test software and report on its security position, okay, and make those reports available to end users. And we're taking the lead by taking all of our products and moving them and sending them off for third-party analysis. And then, of course, insight. What's going on with the endpoint device? So over this past year, IGEL has been working with Lakeside and ControlUp and Liquidware, okay, and other tools, okay, to include products, okay, that are inside the IGEL so that people can see what's going on inside the IGEL. We've introduced asset tracking so that you can report and monitor all devices that are plugged into IGEL devices. All of this is getting integrated, but you can actually go into the management system with all the tools and turn everything on, and you can sit there and say, okay, well, how many people have plugged in, an iPhone 6? How many people have plugged in? What's missing from our inventory of USB connected devices? This is all part of understanding and knowing what's plugged into our devices and controlling that. This is the 6 points that IGEL uses when we look at developing a secure solution. So that's enough of that. I'm considering I can talk about it all day long, but it's more fun, okay, to take a look at how this works. So we'll just kind of step out of here, and I'm going to we're going to take a look at an IGEL device. Okay, for those of you that have seen IGEL before, obviously this will look very familiar to you. Those that have never seen it, well, hopefully it'll be educational for you. But what's on the screen right now, okay, is an IGEL device. This is essentially a factory defaulted IGEL device, okay? I like to start here so people can see if they got an IGEL and they take it out, if we send one to you, or if you get a UD Pocket, or if you install our software on an existing asset and convert it to a thin client, okay? When it boots up the first time, it's going to come up and look like this, okay? We're technical people. I know exactly how each and every one of person on this call knows what to do here. The first thing you do is you go get the documentation, you go sit there and you read through all of it before you attempt to do anything with anything, right? Or maybe it's more like, I know this. This is a wallpaper. This is a taskbar. Over here to the lower right, we see a system tray. I see a clock here. It's 1537. I see some icons over here. I know exactly what to do. So you start coming in, you start clicking around, and you were taught years ago that this little icon in the lower left-hand corner might actually be a start menu. And in fact, when I click on that, I get a menu, and I might pop up in here and see different things. And ultimately, you make your way to this little gear here, and you click on that, and you'll see some options here, and you'll find something that says setup. Oh, this is okay. Well, I wonder what this does. I mean, setup is something I want to do, so you might click on it. So years ago, when I said Linux, people would look at me like, oh, we don't know Linux. You know, I said, the funny thing is Linux is the most used operating system in the world today. Okay, it's behind all sorts of things. Every Android device is in your cars, it's in your routers, it's in your switches, it's in your digital video recorders, it's in your thin clients, it's everywhere. What's key is the interface, okay, that people would work with. That's what makes the difference. So in our case, everything you want to do to configure an IGEL device occurs inside this interface, what we call the IGEL setup utility. We organized this over years. We tried to make this somewhat intuitive for people. As you get in here and you start to look around, you'll see things like sessions and accessories and user interface. Sessions, these are things we connect to. It's here where you can go in and you can configure Citrix, or you can configure a connection to VMware or to Microsoft or to an AS400 if you wanted to, okay, or just configure the device for a browser, okay. Accessories are things that we do locally on the device. User interfaces, how does the device present to the user? This is where we're going to say, hey, how many displays do I have connected, okay, or what does my desktop look like? I like to do something here for people. I'll make a quick change here. I'll go down to the background, okay, and we'll do something visual to just show you how simple it is. I'll make this configuration change. I'll go to orange as an example, and I'll go down here in the lower right-hand corner. I have a couple of buttons here. I have apply, I have OK, I have cancel. I'll go ahead and click on OK. Got to commit that change to the device, and we get orange wallpaper. But I like to start here just to kind of give people a little bit of context of what an IGEL device out of the box looks like. It boots up. It's got wallpaper, taskbar, menu bar, whatever the case may be. At the end of the day, you know, nobody works on the devices themselves anymore. There's nothing productive to be gained there. I mean, it's really about management. So let's start with this IGEL management system. Okay. Now, what I'm looking at here, okay, on the screen is the interface to the IGEL management system. Okay. It is an application. Okay, so it's a three-tiered application. We've got a server component. That server component runs on virtually any version of Windows Server, starting going back to 2008. Okay, and there's a database piece. We use Apache Derby as an embedded database, but we also support SQL Server, Oracle, and Postgres in standalone or clustered modes. Okay, and then we have a client-side component. Two, actually. We have the actual management console that we're looking at here, and then we have the agent that runs on the thin clients. Okay, or under the IGEL OS operating system, okay, that's used to communicate with this management suite. As I look at it here, a little orientation, there's a menu bar across the top. I have some icons here that do different things. I have a thing here that says search for. I've got some options around searching, and on the left, I have navigation. If I want to manage this device, the first thing we need to do is we need to bring this device under management. One of the ways that we can do that is I can go in, there's a little radar icon here that happens to be a search icon. I click on that, I can now scan for thin clients on my network. Okay, so I'm going to scan here and see what I find. In this particular case, I think we should come across 3 or 4 thin clients that are on this network. We wait 6 seconds for responses. And sure enough, I have a few thin clients here. So I'm going to go ahead and grab this thin client here. I'm going to check on this box. I'm going to go ahead and bring this device under management. Okay, I'll bring it under management. Okay, as this comes on, and the management system will say, okay, let's present this, and it'll take me right to this device. If I wanted to manage this device, work with this device inside the management system, at this point, okay, I can double click, okay, or I can right click and get a context menu, one of the options is edit configuration. I'm going to go ahead and edit the configuration of that device. What we're going to see very quickly is when I work with the configuration of this device inside the management system, or it's the exact same configuration or options or software that we actually saw on the setup utility. And I can actually come back in here and I can say, hey, I don't like that orange wallpaper. I'm going to go back to blue. Okay, at this point, I can make this change, okay, and I can save this and commit this change to the database. Okay, but even when I commit the change to the database, that doesn't send that change to the management system, but to the thin client. So as a result, I get a little prompt here. The management system knows the thin client has been changed. The thin client doesn't know it. So it says, hey, tell the thin client, when should this change take effect, next reboot or now? I'm going to go ahead and tell the thin client, go ahead and pull this change now. And when I do that, already over here, I get a message that says, hey, the thin client got a new configuration change, apply the changes now. And there's a timeout going on, up 12 seconds, 11 seconds, 10 seconds. I'm going to give us back about 8 seconds and click on OK. If I didn't do anything, it would go ahead and apply that change. But as quickly as that, this device now the configuration has been changed back to blue wallpaper with nothing, without having to restart the system or anything. I just told the thin client to pull that configuration change. Now that's all fine and good, but truthfully, at the end of the day, when I do come to manage devices, we want to do it efficiently and quickly. And the way we do this in the IGEL world is we actually take devices and we deploy them. We create a directory tree for thin client management or for device management. I could take this device and I can go ahead and deploy this device to, say, Boston. Okay, and I'm going to take this device and I'm going to move that into my Boston location. The system says, hey, when do I want to let these configuration changes take effect? Now I'm going to go ahead and click on OK. What's happening over here at the moment is this device is now getting fully reconfigured from my Boston office. And we sit here and we wait and they say, okay, great. This is my Bill Gates moment. I'm going to go ahead and tell the thin client to go ahead and pull this configuration change. So I'm going to say, let's do settings US to DC. And we wait. Nice. I do apologize for this.
So Jeff, while we're troubleshooting, good question came in. So can you run IGEL OS on Apple devices? I.e. iPad, but iPad, I'm going to say probably is a no, but Apple in general, if it's x86, is a yes. Do you have any insight into that?
So Apple is a little bit different. Okay, if it's an x86, if it's an Apple laptop, okay, and it's an x86 processor, okay, you can boot that device using our UD Pocket, using the USB stick. It'll run the IGEL OS, and you get full functionality of everything that's on the iPad, not the iPad, the Apple laptop. So you can't install the IGEL operating system over top on the Apple device itself. You have to run from the UD Pocket, but it has to be x86. All right.
Carrie, and just a quick, I have a video too. I'll share with you once I find it. So.
Anyway, so what I did here, okay, is I've gone in. I want to take a little configuration change. So we're going to monitor this for a second because I've got a setting in here. Yeah. Okay. So I've got my system. I get the joy of working with development products. So when I work with development product, I don't quite get the proper behavior here, so I apologize. But the idea is that when I took this device and deployed it to my Boston office, okay, the device gets a configuration through profiles. Think group policy. Okay, I created. Okay, in my management system, I have a section here called Thin Clients, and underneath here, I created an enterprise. I called my enterprise. My enterprise is made up of regions. I have East, Central, Mountain, and West. In the East, I have different cities. I have Boston, as an example. When this device has been deployed to the Boston office, okay, it inherits a configuration. That configuration is a combination of profiles that are inherited from the lower right-hand side here. I see a bunch of stuff that is associated with my enterprise. I have some data, some configuration associated with the East and some Boston. So when I come in here and I say, hey, what happened at the enterprise level in the IGEL system? Hey, at the enterprise, I've come over and I've created what we call profiles and associated profiles with the enterprise. So I have, for example, a time server that I've defined. I've defined small icons because I like smaller icons instead of big icons. Okay, I've turned on shadowing for this device. I've applied what we call a base configuration. If I were to say, look at the time server because this makes sense, I'll go ahead and edit this. If I edit this object inside the management system, we'll have that same interface we saw previously. We use the setup utility, or if I work with the device directly inside the management system. Okay, and this object comes up. Okay, I'll be able to go down and use this interface. Yeah. I can go here to time and date is something we do to a system. Okay, so we have a section here called system. I'll go to expand that. I'll go to time and date. And it's here where I've said, hey, our time server is located. We're going to use pool.ntp.org, but this might be your internal time servers as well, especially if you're going to use single sign-on and Kerberos and other things. The time server and the time synchronization is key. So in the IGEL configuration world, of the 7,000 plus items that are available to us, okay, all I've done here is say, hey, I want to store, I'm only going to store the time servers, the fact that I'm using time servers. That's all that's defined in this particular profile. Anything associated with enterprise is going to get its time server configured accordingly. When I moved into the East, this is where I picked up time zone Eastern. So if I edit this object and we go down to that same area where we had time and dates defined, okay, so I go down here, we'll go to time and date. Okay, and instead of this is where I define the time server, this is where I configured my time zone. You all have to live by New York standards. You know, we've gone ahead and said you know, set that to New York. When I moved to Boston, I picked up some wallpapers and some storefront configuration. At the end of it all, when I now look at the IGEL configuration inside the management system, it has inherited all these settings. So when I come down here to that system area and I go to time and date, this is where I see America. This is where I see New York. This is where I see pool.ntp.org. It's also where I can go down and I can look at remote access and I can look at shadowing access where I said, hey, I've gone ahead and set shadow on here. When I look at this configuration, I can't set these things here. We're looking at the thin client, but these things are now set by policy, basically, or by these profiles. In the end, this device has now inherited this configuration. Okay? If I take this device and deploy it to Detroit as an example, okay? So I'll move this to Detroit. I'll tell the system to go ahead and pull this configuration change down. I'm going to go ahead and do this, and we're going to see it hang again. Oh, no. This is not good. It's I do apologize, but the idea of being here, and I'm going to restart this, but in the real life, okay, when the system is working properly, this setting would take effect immediately. Now, the idea here is that this management, this ability to go in and configure profiles or snippets of a configuration and associate them with a directory tree brings a lot of value and a lot of advantage. Okay, so for example, anything that's associated with my enterprise, okay, is now going to get these configurations. So as I move a device to Boston, I move it to New York, or I move it to Detroit, okay, these configurations, okay, are going to apply automatically. Now, we go a little further with this because we have this ability inside the management system to create something called directory rules. Directory rules allow me to profile a device when it shows up on the network, okay, and tell that device to place itself in the various directories according to the rules that I create. So with this management system, it's possible to take an IGEL device out of the box, okay, plug it into the network, have the device, and turn it on, okay. The device will place itself under management, okay, and the device will then go ahead and using the directory rules, okay, put itself in the appropriate container, if you will, the rule that I want, okay, and then as a result of it being in that container, get its full configuration, okay, without me doing anything other than turn the device on and connect it to the network, connect it to the network and turn it on. There we had one happen automatically finally, okay. So this, I moved to New York, immediately changed the wallpaper. I didn't do anything other than associate with that New York directory. The power of this management system is incredible, okay? And the kinds of configuration pieces that are here are pretty amazing. So for example, if I edit this device right now, this is sometimes an easy way to look at this. I can say, for example, I'll go in here to a Citrix section, okay? One of the things I like to share with people is that at IGEL, we provide multiple versions of the Citrix receiver, okay, to meet people's needs. So it comes with working with the Citrix interface, okay, we can go down and we can go in and we can define the servers that we connect to, okay? So we can add our connections to our storefront, okay, or to legacy environments if that's the case may be. We can control and configure different kinds of login mechanisms, okay? We can create sessions that automatically launch and reconnect. Okay, when it comes into the HDX support, we come down and we've got support for unified communications, Skype for Business, and starting on the 25th of October, which would be tomorrow, we're adding Cisco's JVDI, or the Java Virtual Desktop VDI, which was previously known as VXME, will be in here as well. We've got support for hardware accelerated, okay, for the deep compression codec if you want to accelerate that, okay, and use hardware to decode the Citrix receiver. We've got full multimedia support, okay, webcam redirection, HDX real-time media engine, turning that on. That's the Skype for Business pieces. We've got native USB redirection built here. We have connecting through firewalls. We've got all sorts of drive mapping, component mapping, and additional virtual channels that we've added to the IGEL device for people to use in their environments. Okay, this is where you see virtual channels from Lakeside and some support for some of the other pieces that are here. And control the windows and the way the windows work, whether or not we're going to expand the experience across all monitors or keep them isolated to single monitors. All of this is configurable. Everything that we can set can be a profile, can be a policy in here. Good question?
Yeah, so Jeff, two good questions. Actually, another one just came in too. So first question from Carrie, are you guys adding MS Teams? Because obviously, we know the story with Skype. So support for MS Teams, or is that not going to change really? It's just going to become, Skype will become MS Teams from an IGEL perspective.
Well, I think right now, I think Microsoft is going to push. I think Microsoft would like ultimately for Teams to replace Skype for Business. There's some challenges with Skype for Business that seem to have been addressed in Teams. So right now it'll work. Okay, the question is whether or not if the video conferencing, that's the part, the video and audio portions are the parts that we need to concern ourselves with, because will that be redirected as it is with RTME? I think Citrix and Microsoft are both kind of, and VMware as well, are all striving to make sure that Teams, whether it's Microsoft Teams or Cisco Teams, okay, is going to be supported and optimized. But right now, today, and then when it is, I mean, we'll be there. So one of the things about IGEL is we do tend to be pretty up to date. So for example, the release that we're coming out with tomorrow is using, if you're a Skype for Business user and you work with Citrix, we'll be introducing RTME 2.6, which is the latest version available from Citrix. Next question.
Cool. So another question from Scott. Can you explain, this is actually a good question. Can you explain how drivers are handled on an endpoint device? So if you're going to use a conversion or UD Pocket, how are the drivers handled?
Obviously, the core of Linux is being open source. Okay, so it is a modular operating system. Well, it can be either way, but when we look at the kernel itself. But from a driver perspective, we provide drivers for third-party drivers, besides all of the open source drivers for, say, wireless and network and video, if you will. We also support the drivers from NVIDIA, AMD ATI, and Intel. Okay, So all of the Intel wireless drivers are built into the IGEL. All of the open source drivers are built into the IGEL. In fact, most wireless modules today are now built into the IGEL. So when you boot the IGEL operating system, okay, if the hardware is anything manufactured, say in the last 9 years minus say 6 months, and any of the stuff that's so new, like it's less than a year old, and the components are generally not in anybody's PC anyway. But we already provide the drivers for those. So, and if you have an Intel video card or an AMD video card or an NVIDIA video card, okay, because we provide those drivers, okay, you're going to get full support of those video cards. So you'll be able to do multi-monitor. We allow you to configure up to 8 displays if you want to go that high. So and built into that operating system, you're just going to do that. So we very rarely, I'm not going to say that somebody's going to show up one day and have some kind of specialized driver for some maybe touch screen, but for the most part, I'd say we cover about 95% of everything that we've ever encountered.
Cool. And I mean, the good news is you guys release firmware every quarter, so you guys are pretty on top of things when it comes to net new hardware from what I've seen. So all right, so another good question, does IGEL have a built-in browser that you can use instead of having to publish Chrome or IE for certain things? So good question, and the answer is yes, but I'll let you explain.
Yeah, so as I look at the configuration of this device right now, because I'm working in the device, we have a section here for browser, okay, which is where I can come in, I can go ahead and add a browser session, okay, so it's where I can come in and say, hey, let's add a browser session, right? At this point, I can say this is how I'd like this session to launch, okay? So by default, I can put this on the IGEL start menu, which of course would be clicking down here, right? Okay, or I could say I want an icon in the quick start area, which would show up down here. Okay, or I could have it set on the desktop. So all these obvious ways. I can set this to automatically start, if you will. And then I can give my session a name. I can then go to the settings area and say, okay, well, I'd like to define a home page and maybe point the browser to my home page. And then I can control everything about the browser. A lot of the stuff that you might have done, say, to control IE or Chrome using other tools and stuff are all built into the IGEL. You go down and you can configure all this. Anything that's settable here can be a profile. We can control the minimum level of encryption. Okay, so for example, if you wanted nothing less than TLS 1.2, which it might not be a bad move, okay, you might set that. In the end, anything, everything, whether or not it starts full screen, menus and toolbars, all built in here. Now, it's all fine and good to do this, but truthfully, if I wanted to, because we do this frequently, I actually already created a profile, okay, for a browser session. So I'll go ahead and go in, and I'll come down here, and I'll go to a profile I created for sessions, and I have some called browser, and I'll go ahead and select the Firefox browser, and I'll deploy that to my Thin client, and I'll tell the system to go ahead and pull this configuration change now, okay, and if it worked properly, it should pop up here on the screen. And once again, I'm having some kind of network issue. This is crazy. But by having that available, I'm going to go ahead and restart this, and it'll pick it up when it reboots. But yes, the browser's there, fully supported, fully controlled. You can control where the browser goes. Now, with the release of our firmware tomorrow, okay, we've taken some steps on the security side. Part of that, what I described earlier about security. So tomorrow's browser, okay, is going to run under control of AppArmor. Okay, if you're familiar with AppArmor, open source, AppArmor is an isolation tool, okay, where we can control what the application can do from a networking standpoint and whether or not it can touch and see other aspects, okay, of what's going on inside the system. So it's going to run completely isolated, fully sandboxed, okay, so that the browser is running and not touching anything else that's running on the device. It's pretty sweet.
Cool, and then I'm going to close with this question, and then I'm going to do a quick wrap up. But great question around auditing, and does the IGEL have? Can you audit administrative changes within the console and allow viewing of the logs? And okay. I know the answer is yes, but you can show.
Yes. Yes. So, well, first step, number one, is we can tie the whole management system into your Active Directory component, or the heck is it? Here's it. So AD. So you can tie into AD. Okay. And then you can come in and you can tie AD groups to the management system. So we have an administrative accounts, okay, where we can say, hey, here's AD administration group, AD user group, okay, as well as local groups. Okay. And then we have the ability to take any device, so for example, this device here, okay, and we have logging capabilities here, okay, where I can go in and I can look at event messages, okay, and these logging sit there, and I can go in and I can say, look at this device. I've been making changes to this device, even though I've had some little bit of challenges here, okay, but I can go in and look at all that was done here, okay, all right, and who did that. So we can go in and see all these bits and pieces about what was done. Okay, if I go in even this extends not just to devices, but to everything. Okay, so if I go into a profile and I were to take a look at a profile and I wanted to audit a profile, okay, I might come in here and say, hey, let's take a look. I'm stepping on a limb here because I don't know what all I've done inside here, but basically you can go in and say who made the change, what change they make. So everything that's done to a device, everything about a device is maintained in a series of logs that you can go back and report on and parse. Okay, and by making users authenticate, okay, when they authenticate to access the management system, we're then tracking that user. One of the logs I mentioned is this ability under logging to look at secure access logs. Okay, so this is where I can go in and say, hey, what user, okay, tried to shadow or access the device through the management system. So I can get a record of who shadowed a thin client, if you will, and we can go report on that. So there's a lot here. Every object that's in here, when we bring in the AD, we bring in the AD groups or create our own users locally, every single object that's in here can have an access control list associated with it. As an example, I have this section called profiles. If I look at the access control list for profiles, I can see that my help desk people are denied any kind of access to profiles. So I have a group called help desk. I have standard users. I have administrators. Okay, administrators have full access. But help desk, they have no access. At the same time, I can go down to thin clients, okay, and I can come to the thin client area here and I maybe go to, I don't know, go to enterprise. I think I've got it set here. If I go look at the enterprise group and look at the access control list here, I can take a look at the help desk and I see here the help desk, they can browse and read. They can look for the devices, okay, and they can remotely access them so that they can shadow them and they can send messages. But they can't do anything else with the device. So a lot of things that you would expect in a true enterprise class system, okay, are going to be found through this logging and these access control lists and this detailed configuration.
Well, all right, cool, Jeff. So we're running at the top of the hour, so I want to do a quick close down and wrap up. But again, if you have any other questions, you can feel free to put them into the Q&A, and if we can't get to them, we'll personally answer them after the fact. So really quick, just want to do a quick wrap up on who is XenTegra and why are we doing these cool webinar Wednesdays. So for those who don't know, Andy's our CEO and founder. IGEL is a great partner of ours, and Andy founded XenTegra on two premises. One, he wanted to enable customers, and two, he wanted to form true partnerships with the vendors we work with. So about 8 years ago, Andy left Citrix as an SE and founded XenTegra. So, again, as you can see, education is a big piece of what we do. And if you're interested to see, what else we do around education, you can go to XenTegra.com/events and really see, what's going on from a event point of view. We actually have some cool IGEL events coming up, and they're going to be popping on the calendar in the next few days. So again, we do webinars. I try to do 2 a month called Webinar Wednesdays. If you go to go.XenTegra.com/webinar, you can see, the information around, the various webinars that are coming up. And like I said, I have a couple cool vendors that are, I wouldn't say new to the industry, but lesser known in the industry. And I want to try to give them some highlights, and I really like their technology. Again, if there's any questions at all, please put them in the chat window so I can take a look. And if we can answer them quickly before closing out, we'll try to answer them. And if not, we'll answer them again. So really quick, what is XenTegra? First off, we can resell IGEL. So we're one of IGEL's platinum partners. We can consult on IGEL, so we can help you get it up and running, as well as some of the other vendors I'm going to show you. And then finally, we could be an advisor. So if you have any questions around, just the thin market in general, you can call me or even get Jeff on the phone. We can tell you our opinion. The whole point of being a partner is to help you make the right decision. And my favorite part of the job is, hey, I can work with you to, augment your environment, whether it's Citrix, VMware, and find a good solution stack that will meet your needs. And then obviously have one bill, one invoice, and make it easy for you to purchase the products. So, if I were going to summarize, XenTegra, I would say XenTegra is someone who invests in their partnerships and their customers. I'm going to explain how in a minute. And we sell goods and services, and we also provide some nice training and other things that we do. So again, here's some of our partners, and you can see at the top you have Citrix. Citrix is a primary vendor of ours, and then in the second tier, and I don't know why these keep moving forward, but is IGEL. And IGEL is, like I said, a great partner of ours, and you can see some of the other vendors we work with. And the goal here is, we want to help Citrix and enhance Citrix environments. So, again, here's our focus areas. You can see we have four main buckets. We have end user computing, networking, cloud, and security. So these are our four, what I would call disciplines. And we can provide on-prem services, cloud-based services, and managed services. So we do have a full MSP offering if you're interested. And then obviously we can do consulting on top of these various offerings. And then we can also offer a frontline support. So again, if you're interested in any of the vendors you saw, we can talk through some of those. But again, we want to talk through IGEL. We can help you get IGEL up and running, POC it, etc. And again, for those who are interested in Citrix Synergy, you definitely want to add this date to your calendar. And yes, XenTegra, this is something unique that we do. We can get you there for free. So, again, if you do a Citrix renewal through us, we can help you get to Citrix Synergy, meet Jeff, hang out with us, have a little fun, and then be our guest at our customer dinner. So again, if you are interested in Citrix Synergy next year, let me know, and I can send you the information on how we can help augment your cost to get to Citrix Synergy. And then finally, we do offer what's called a free micro assessment. So if you do have a Citrix environment and you're a little stuck and you need some help, or you need to understand what the heck is this cloud thing, we can come in and give you a free micro assessment. Think of this as a health check. And then also, I provide the same kind of service with IGEL. So if you're stuck in the mud with IGEL, or you're trying to get POC done, or you just have a question, you can always reach out to me, and I'll give you some time, and I'll help you get IGEL up and running. And hopefully Jeff will say that I'm pretty good at IGEL, and I was one of the early takers of the IGEL certification. So and again, some calls to action today. If you saw something you like, definitely, reach out to us. We can get you a deeper demo. There's a lot here. Jeff only showed you a little bit. And there's a lot more that IGEL can do. So for example, he didn't get to show the cloud web gateway. That's a great feature if you have remote users. Again, if you have a POC running, we can help you get the POC running. If you want to purchase IGEL, let us know. And then finally, if you have a renewal, let us know. We can help you renew and make sure you're getting the best renewal process possible. So again, I'm going to close and make sure there's no questions. I'll see if there's any quick questions we can answer. So again, I'll pick one, and then I'll answer some of these after the fact. So the quick, easy one: will there be a video? Yes, there'll be a web video, and I'll be sharing it as soon as you get it. You'll get a video link. So I'm going to close with this question: can IGEL be used with any thin clients on the market? And this is one of my favorite questions, and Jeff's probably laughing, but Jeff, I'll take a first shot in answering this. I would say, I don't want to say any, but as long as it's x86, yes, you can convert most thin clients to an IGEL thin client. And if you want to go to, I forget the link now because it's changed, but the docs.igel.com, I believe, right? And you can get the compatibility list and see which devices are compatible.
Yeah, I think it suffices to say if it's a 64-bit x86 device, okay, with 2 gig of memory, okay, and 2 gig of storage, you can install the IGEL OS on there, okay. If there's not 2 gig of storage, okay, the UD Pocket, okay, can serve as a means to go ahead and boot that device. You have people that have some older Dell Weiss product that doesn't have enough storage on it, okay, to install our software on those physical devices. So they've used the UD Pocket as a means to do that, which is the live USB stick that people would use to boot from. So
Cool.
and the best thing to do is to just give it a try.
Yep.
And we didn't talk about it. I mean, certainly, we've got, you go to www.igel.com/download, okay, and there'll be a little form to fill out. And that form will result in an email to you, okay, with where you can get a license and download the software to convert a device. I was sitting here showing you everything I was looking at today, even though I was having issues, is running inside a virtual machine, okay. The IGEL software, while you can install it on physical devices, you can also install it in a virtual machine. And basically, you download the client. It's an ISO. You boot it. You attach the ISO to the virtual machine, 2 gig storage, 2 gig of RAM, a processor, and you boot that. It'll install the IGEL operating system in the VM. And I know Pete's done that, so he can help you with that as well.
Yep.
There was a
Cool.
question real quick there was a question about certificates, and there's
Yep.
a method in that management system. I didn't show it to you, but basically it's under files, but you just upload your certificate to the management system and deploy it as an SSL certificate, and it's out there then and usable by the system. So
cool. Yeah, anyway. I saw that question too. So, and if you need help, reach out. I gave you my email, Steven. So, let me know if you need help and we can help you. So, all right. So on the screen, you'll see our information. Again, if there's any other questions that come to mind when you hang up or leave the webinar, feel free to reach out. And again, Jeff and I are always traveling and busy. If we don't answer right away, don't hesitate to nudge us, and we'll try to answer in an orderly fashion. So, and again, so that's our webinar Wednesdays today. And I want to thank Jeff for joining us today in IGEL.
Thank you, Pete.
And again, thank you all for joining us, and look forward to the next webinar Wednesdays, which is on November 13th. And my guest is going to be Policy Pack. So great guest and great industry leader around GPOs. So thank you and have a great day, everybody.
Thank you.